Alright, yes sir, yes sir. Um Welcome back, y'all. Appreciate you clicking, appreciate you watching. My intro actually got cut out off that last one because I guess I spoke for like an hour and a minute or something. But I ain't tripping. I'm not tripping because I did say what I wanted to say. So, but yeah, I mean the audio was trash, so I apologize for that. It might still be trash, but hopefully it's a little better. Cause I be having that mic damn near in my mouth, so I gotta chill with that. But anyways, so basically, obviously this is the continuation of the tier list that I was making, and I ended it off with number 7 out of the 11 killers that I'm rating. Um, oh yeah, actually I didn't even I since the I'm gonna have to add all that intro stuff in the description, I guess. So, um, I guess I'll do the same thing with this one. I'll just add it in the description. But anyways, so yeah, so we were on number 7 out of the 11 killers that I have on this list, and it was Huntress. But now we will be moving on to number 8, and that is Wraith. Wraith at number 8. So, and then this is the first killer that I've actually not even talked about today, because I had to redo this like 3 times, but the furthest I got was Huntress. So my first time talking about Wraith today. But why do I have Wraith at number 8? I probably would have. Well, I mean, I definitely would have had him lower. If before the buff, but the buff helped so much. Honestly, I'm actually surprised that Behavior really did that, but I'm so happy they did. Wraith was kind of like the first killer that I feel like I truly mastered, and there is more to Wraith than people realize, I feel like. But um, you know, Wraith, I think, is in a pretty good spot right now. A lot better than he was before. And since I am, mostly talking about base kit, his base kit is actually really powerful now, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just comparing it to old base kit, so I don't know. But why do I have him at number 8, you might ask? What do I think about him? Well, first off, I guess I could say that by being a stealth killer, he forces survivors to heal. That's a plus. Get survivors off of gens, force them to heal, because if they don't, obviously he could just come out of nowhere and just down them, right? So that's already a plus. Not to mention, I mean, when he's invisible, he has that element of surprise, so that's, really helpful because, especially like teams that are communicating, they're not, you can take away that strength that they have with communication because they just won't know where you are, since you're invisible. So, and you can move at like 150% movement speed, so good mobility, good map pressure. You can be everywhere. You could do a lot with that, and you can even have it even helps you out in chase, because if you get a hit, you actually are fast enough now to cloak, and then you can body block the survivor from getting to a window, from getting to a pallet. And even shorter loops, you can cloak and then uncloak and use your speed boost to get a hit. So all good stuff. Um, So, that's all good stuff and everything. Also, nurses and make your choice on him, amazing. I actually feel like those are two perks that he needs. Like, I would never, like, if I had to pick two perks to no doubt, like, 100% run, especially, like, if I had to make, like, a best build or something, it would definitely be those two, because they give him or at least help him with the lethality that he needs. Because at the end of the day, every killer has weaknesses, and that is race weakness. It is lethality. He has to hit twice. He doesn't really have a chase power. Like, he has the he has the uncloak speed boost, but that's only at shitty pallets anyways, and most of the pallets in this game are unmined gameable, so, and super strong, so you can't really use it in most scenarios. Because just like I said at the beginning of the list, I'm taking, I'm thinking about maps in general, and the truth is that most maps, the loops are pretty unfair for killers with no chase power or weak chase powers, and so Ray's kind of helpless. You know, Not to mention a meta Wraith build doesn't really have space for. I mean, I guess it does. You're gonna have to run something for lethality, and I was saying nurses and make your choices, or make your choice is a good choice, no pun intended. But save best for last, another good option. Bamboozle. There's a lot to work with, but you're gonna need. Wraith is just with like a lot of killers, you're gonna need a lot of help. So you're gonna need some of those perks, if not all of them. So, well, you obviously need regression as well. So that's one slot. So you got, 3, maybe 2 slots to work with. Just go, use your best judgment. Um, but yeah, I mean, the reason I have Wraith so low is just because, as fun as he is to play and as powerful as he can be, you know, uh, 3 stat, with some Devour stacks, with Make Your Choice, you know, some of his better add-ons, which, I mean, I guess All Seeing, I mean, it's a purple. I don't know if I would really, I don't know if I really want to consider that because it's a freaking purple add-on. So, because Doctor with a purple add-on becomes a freaking, uh, like Doctor with purple and green add-ons becomes a freaking 12-meter tear radius with a freaking 14-meter shock, or, you know what I mean? So, I don't think it's really a fair comparison, um, but yeah, I mean, the reason I have Wraith so low is just because I feel like his weaknesses are just too, they're just too much. You have no chase, basically. You have no snowball, it's just, you're just gonna have to really rely on those perks, man. You really do. Cause, with weaker perks, you're not gonna win. And if you do, it's because the survivors let you. Um, it's just, there's just no possibility. You're gonna have to rely on inconsistent perks. You're gonna have to rely on save best for last. You're gonna have to rely on make your choice. You're gonna have to rely on nurses because they could just go to the other side of the map and heal, even though they will be wasting time. But still, You just have to rely on lethality. So, but yeah, I mean, I really just don't know what else to say. He just has no chase, no killer. I mean, you're not, I don't care if you move at 200% speed, or if he moved at 200% speed. I don't, if he has devour, make your choice. Or actually, well, I'm not gonna say that, but I don't care if he got freaking ruin pop, sloppy, the thanatophobia. It doesn't matter. Like, you have to down the players. You have to down the survivors, and it's kind of hard to do when like 8 or 9 out of every 10 tiles are damn near unmined gameable, or just not very favorable, just not very fair for an M1 killer like Wraith. So I don't know. I guess I'll leave it at that with Wraith. Yeah, I mean, just in an average game, you can do just fine. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about um, good high level players, right? So I guess I'll leave it at that for Raid. Bing bong boy, yes sir. But anyways, so that was number 8. So we're kind of getting towards. So now we're in the bottom 3. And since there's only 11 killers, you guys are probably wondering who it is, blah, blah, blah. And at number 9, this is controversial, but, this is just my opinion, and I'll tell you why I think this way, and why I have him at number 9. I have Demo at number 9. Fan favorite, community, Demo please, right? Probably the most well-rounded killer, I will say that. He has his shred for chase, he has his portals for mobility, he has he has undetectable coming out of his portals. Like, he really has a lot to work with. Why do I have him so low? Well, let's just look at what he has. So he has his shred, which gives him more to work with chase. Jungle gems become easier. Excuse me. Jungle gems become easier. Shack becomes just as dangerous as if you were versing Huntress. Just normal pallets, it just gives him more in chase. It allows him to sorry bro, I just had like a brain fart, but it allows him to get stacks of save best for last, right? Because you hit the obsession with him. Obviously, save best for last is basically a must on demo, especially versus good players. So it allows him to build up stacks, gives him a little bit of lethality, right? A little bit more to work with. He has a 32-meter terror radius, base, no insta-down. He has his portals, which give him mobility, but can be cleansed very quickly, and you can only see if survivors are on it if you charge up your shred. But it can give you information as well. And he has loud ass footsteps. So even if he's undetectable, like he is coming out of his portals, or if you have Tinker, even then survivors can hear you coming maybe from like 6 or 8 meters away, which or maybe even more, maybe 10 meters, I don't fucking know. But that just really hurts him, because that, they had the right, they got a good idea, I feel like, giving him some stealth, but considering he doesn't have an insta down, you know, it's pretty limited what you can do in that situation, you know? Especially with all the perks and tools that survivors have at their disposal. So that, all that being said, what does that leave you with? Well, it leaves you with a 32 meter radius killer with no insta down, with mobility that can be destroyed very easily, and with not a lot of cost, time wise, because at the end of the day, that's what this game is. It's just time, efficiency, right? It's like chess. I always compare DBD to chess because in chess, when you move around, it costs you a turn. Well, same thing with DBD. Everything you do is costing you time, right? So it's just a battle for time, and just demo, in my opinion, the reason I have him so low is just because versus good players, once again, he can do fine in pubs and average games. Everyone can. Legion with no add-ons can, or no perks can. It doesn't matter. But versus good players, versus aware, competent, smart survivors, not even, it doesn't have to be A-Run, Sway, JRM, no. Fairly average survivors can make demo suffer. Even with 8 stacks of Save Best for Last, his snowball is pretty weak. His chase is pretty weak, because he will still struggle at jungle gyms. He will still struggle at Cowtree. He will still have to deal with filler pallets. It's just, I don't know, man. I just don't really know. It's just not enough. Your mobility can get destroyed in like fucking 6 seconds by 2 survivors. And with the size of maps, that's very harmful. So there's not a lot to lose from the survivors. They can stay injured because they don't have any stealth. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just not enough. It's just not enough for me. In the podcast, I was talking with Gamer. You can make an argument for Myers being better than him, okay? Like, I didn't, spoiler alert, Myers is next, but at the end of the day, it really depends on the map. Myers at least has very good stealth. He has better snowball. He has better lethality. The only reason I put Demo above Myers is simply because just for consistency's sake, I guess. Because Myers does start out the game at a laughable state, tier 1, of course. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. It's just not enough, in my opinion. If he had 24 meter tear radius, silent footsteps, or at least like a very short distance where you can hear the footsteps, like 4 meters or 6. I don't know. Maybe it is that, but I think 4 would be pretty fair to not allow gen grabs, but still allow him to capitalize with his 8 stacks and save best for last. But since he doesn't have a 24 meter tear radius, even with monitor, he's still a 24-meter tear radius killer with no insta down, and kind of subpar mobility, in my opinion. Wraith can move around at 150. Blight can, you already know what Blight can do. And then killers who don't have mobility, Doctor, you know, Doctor's not even demo, or I should say, Demo's not even close to Doctor. Not even close to Bubba. Not even close to Huntress when it comes to Chase. You know what I mean? Because and the reason I said Huntress is just because she can literally throw her hatchets from anywhere. You can get a fucking cross map, and as inconsistent as that is, if someone's 15 meters away, you get a God Huntress, that's still a threat. You know what I mean? But anyways, so that's pretty much it that I gotta say for Demo. That's a pretty controversial one, but I don't know. I mean, if anyone disagrees with me, like, let me know. We can talk about it. It's just not enough in my opinion. I still think he's like fairly fun to play, just because of the mobility and because of the shred. But I don't really like playing. I used to, but I mean, I'm just not as much of a fan anymore of just playing killers that give survivors a lot of options. At least Myers, at least you gotta force pallet drops. At least you gotta force them to heal, all that stuff. So that's it for Demo. So just like I said, so I think now we are at number 10, second to last. And I already said what it was. It was Myers, right? And just like I said, I mean, Demo, Myers are pretty much interchangeable in my opinion. They're both very weak, versus, this scenario that we're taking into consideration, which is good players, 4 good players. So I guess, boom. I mean, these past couple days, I've talked a lot about Demo. I talked a lot about Myers. Once again, go check the podcast out. But why do I have Myers at number 10? What's his strengths? What's his weaknesses? Well, I guess, since we're going to talk about weaknesses, you can't talk about weaknesses, or you can't talk about Myers without talking about his early game, his tier 1, which is honestly such a pity. It's very outdated. It's very sad and almost disrespectful to, Halloween and Myers, man, because he starts out undetectable but moving at 105% movement speed with a short lunge. Shortest lunge in the game. It's pretty laughable. It's pretty trash. The only way it's even worth it is if you get a grab. But the way the fake grabs are, that's inconsistent. And besides, the best survivors are the most aware. So probably not worth the risk. But with exception of that, very niche scenario of getting a grab, yeah, it's just a huge weakness. It's just, however, most games, regardless of survivor skill level, you will be able to get out of tier 1 fairly quickly. It just depends, just like I said earlier, it just depends on the map. That's honestly like the difference between picking Demo versus Myers. That's the difference between picking Wraith versus Huntress. That's the difference between picking Plague versus Doctor. Like, there's just, the map is a huge factor. I can't even describe. It's hard to even explain how big of a deal it is. But anyways, so he forces heals in tier 2 because you have a 16-meter tear radius base. That's very powerful. I don't think that people understand how powerful that is. That's a huge deal. With Monitor, it becomes an 8-meter tear radius. And you know, I don't understand why people put Myers so low. I mean, obviously he's low on my list, but this is only 11 killers that I feel I understand. But you know, saying that he's like the worst in the game and everything like that, like I just disagree. You know, not to mention, I mean, you know, so stealth, right? Having a 16-meter tear radius or 8 with Monitor, that's having that small tear radius. You can have a 99 tier 3. So I don't understand why people think that Myers is so trash. How is having an 8-meter tear radius with a 99 tier 3? You know, if you have Discordance or something, that's a free 2 downs right there. So you got half the team immobilized by something that they couldn't even counter. Even if they had Spine Chill, you could just moonwalk. You know what I mean? And if they have, if they're in a dead zone, well, they're fucked anyway. So, most gens are located in areas with line of sight blockers anyways, such as jungle gyms or buildings. So even better for Myers. And then, you know, and then in tier 3, he has an extended lunge. He has a faster vaulting speed, not by much, I think like 5-10%, but still. An extended lunge and an insta-down. So when I will admit that Myers is very perk reliant, to say the least. In my opinion, versus top level teams, you need Bamboozle, you need Infectious, and you need Monitor, and you need Regression. So that's just my opinion. I mean, that's a very strong statement to say that you need, hey, you need these 3 perks, but I don't know, that's just a conclusion I've come to with the amount of time I've played Myers. I think I put a very fair amount of hours into him, and I think I have a pretty good understanding of him, unlike some people. You know, because it's one thing to say that he's trash and understand him and have you know, like hundreds of hours into him, but then it's another thing to say he's trash and not understand him at all. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, his weakness is his early game and his lack of mobility. But just being able to force survivors to heal, being able to catch them off guard, being able to just not rely on your perk on your tier 3, because you could do just fine in tier 2, especially you know, if you're using Bamboozle, or if you're doing kind of like a tier 2 build, or Nurses is another good perk on him, just not really suited for my playstyle. But you can, you know, that build that I said, maybe instead of Monitor you could do Nurses, you know what I mean, even more lethality. But I actually totally forgot about that. It's actually a really good point. But and you know, his add-ons are, and yeah, I'm talking about base kit Myers too, man. You know, his add-ons just make him even better. but so do demos add-ons. Fair enough. You know, especially with the new add-ons, like I'm really happy that demo has more stuff to work with now. But when it comes to just base kit, and just overall, I don't know, man. It's so close. It's so close. Dude, honestly, like I don't even know. Like I kind of feel like putting Myers over demo, but it's close, man. But whoo, I guess it's too late now. But anyways, but yeah. So I mean, I pretty much said everything I need to say. Tier 2. Very powerful. Tier 3, very powerful. Tier 2 with a 99. Tier 3, even more powerful. You can use Tier 3 to pressure. You can use it to force hook states. You can use it. You know, the possibilities are endless. They'll burn through resources with Bamboozle. You could get rid of jungle gyms in 10 seconds, just like Bubba. Just really strong stuff, you know. And honestly, arguably the most important is just the ability to snowball. You know what I mean? If you play strategic enough, you have a decent 3-gen, a decent setup. Like if the survivors have like a decent setup or less than decent setup, dude, you pop that tier 3, and you know, if you have ruin, that's gonna work wonders, but you probably don't if it's late game. So pop, you're gonna be able to control, and you're gonna be able to fucking create dead zones. You're gonna be able to slug, and you're gonna be able to do a lot. You know what I mean? And if you have monitor, you're gonna be 24 meter radius with an insta down and like 20% faster vault speed and extended lunge. If you use monitor on demo, you know, sorry that I keep comparing them, but I think it's a really a lot of people wouldn't even think it's a fair comparison, but I think they're very close in strength, in terms of strength. You run monitor on demo, modern and infectious, you're gonna be 24 meter radius with like 6 to 8 stacks to save best for last, best case scenario, but you're only gonna have a shred. So yeah, I don't know. But you know what? I think I'll leave it at that for Myers, because this has been going on for a while. I have been trying to wrap this up for at least at least like 2 or 3 hours. So anyways, so there we go. That's number 10. And now we move on to number 11, which, last but not least, the worst killer that I feel I have a decent, a sufficient understanding of, and if you know me, you know that this is what I think. My boy Legion. And boy, where do I start? This is a meme build, obviously. So Legion, strengths, injuring people, absolutely. Undisputably, the best killer at injuring people. No doubt about it. 100%. I will give him that. Is this helpful? And you know, in average games and casual games and maybe slightly competitive games, yeah, it is. Because then basically everyone is the equivalent of exposed. Everyone is insta-downable. What's the problem with everyone being injured? Well, very big problems, actually. Very big negatives. Survivors not healing, it gives you an advantage because all they need is one hit to go down, right? But since we're talking about the highest level here, they will not waste that time on healing, right? Maybe in average games, people actually heal against Legion, which is insane. Um, no good survivor will ever heal against Legion. With the exception of maybe if they're dead on hook or something like that, you know. But like 9 times out of 10, good survivors will not heal against them. That's a problem because that's just time that they're on gens. They don't have anything else to do. The only two real things that survivors have to do is, or not two things, but the only things that survivors really have to do is gens, heal versus certain killers, and then just go for saves and get chased. So once again, just like with demo, and this is actually a change that I propose. I think it's a very simple change, but I think it would be super helpful and meaningful. The story would be different, because some people, I don't hate Legion or anything. Like, I don't hate Legion, or anything. Like, I don't have anything against Legion. I don't know. I just think Legion is pretty bad, in my opinion. If Legion had a 24-meter tear radius, I think it would be completely different. If his frenzy wasn't linked to his tear radius, it was just 32 meters or whatever, 40 meters, but he had a 24-meter tear radius, and he was able to get down to 16 with monitor, I think it would be a completely different story. Completely different story. Because those 8 meters, 32 to 24 is pretty laughable, but I think that 24 to 16 is actually pretty. I think that actually be something to maybe fear a little bit. He has no chase power. He needs perks to have a chance. The thing is though, like with because a lot of killers, most need perks to stand a chance versus good players, right? But like, I don't know, Legion, man, like he really like, if you're not using Tinker on Legion, how are you supposed to get close to anyone? You have a 32-meter tear radius. Okay, you're using monitor. You still have a 24-meter tear radius. That's like a 5-second head start or something for the survivor. How are you supposed to get towards anyone? You can't use your frenzy to get over there because there's like a 4-second cooldown. And once again, just like I said, this list is mostly talking about base kit, and I say mostly because yes, I am considering taking into consideration brown and yellow like add-ons, like lower rarity, not so much green and up. But yeah, like he literally, so 32-meter tear radius, like 4-second, and that's another thing. If his cooldown was way, was like 2 seconds or something, which I think it can be with probably like add-ons, right? With like purple, with like cold dirt or something. If he had a 2-second or 2.5-second cooldown or something, like I think once again, I think it'd be a different story. But I don't know, man. It's just his weaknesses are just so strong, man. Like he has he has 0 stealth. I guess, he needs, in my opinion, he needs Tinker. Like Tinker is basically on him, in my opinion, is basically the equivalent of save best for last for demo, or freaking bamboozle for Bubba. Like he needs it, because how else are you supposed to get close to anyone in a timely, in a time efficient manner? You have a 32-meter tear radius. But anyways, you know, I will say though that he does have some strengths that are unique to him and that can be capitalized on, or should I say, can be used very efficiently, such as, having the information, when he uses his frenzy, that allows him to prioritize survivors that are closer to being dead. That's very powerful, I will agree. The reason I don't think it's as powerful as some people make it to be is because you still have to down the freaking survivor, and you're an M1 killer, so you kind of need the RNG on your side, you know what I mean? Like, you better pray there's a TNL, you better pray there's like a really shitty pallet or something, but even then, I'm talking about most maps, you know what I mean? And most maps have like 3 jungle gyms. So I don't know, when I play Legion seriously, which I never do, because you're not gonna beat good survivors with Legion, so why would I try? Why would I take it serious? But if I were to take it serious, I would use Bamboozle. Just like when I used to take Wraith seriously, I would use Bamboozle. But then I opted for instant down perks, which in my opinion are better on Wraith. But see, Legion basically instant downs because everyone's injured, but the meta, Legion would be so much better if the meta wasn't already staying injured and doing gens. Just look at how many meta perks for Survivor are just revolve around staying injured. Adrenaline, Dead Hard, Iron Will. So, considering we're talking about good players, all I have to say is just good luck, Good luck, man. Ryuga has Legion above an insane amount of killers. He has him above Doctor, I believe, Pyramid Head, I believe, Huntress, Deathslinger. I'm pretty sure Ryuga has Legion above all those killers. A lot of people have Legion pretty high up. I gotta agree with Scott John, man. Like, I just think he's the worst in the game. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's just kind of like a Lonzo Ball type thing. Because, like, Lonzo Ball, I feel like he's in the wrong era. You know what I mean? He's a pass-first point guard. He would have been way better 20 years ago or whatever, 30 years ago. Legion, if the meta wasn't, maybe if Legion existed like actually I don't even know when the hell he came out, but like 3 or 4 years ago, when survivors were freaking trash, compared to now, and even now, like, there's, average survivor is, very mediocre and very casual. But maybe if Legion was around when the meta wasn't to just stay injured and do gens, then I don't know, maybe he would do better. He just needs more, in my opinion. It's just another sad case. Just another sad situation, as with so many killers, with most, I'd say. It's just like one of those things where you're, one of those situations with killers where you're like, oh, what if, Dude, if Legion, I kid you not, if Legion had a 24-meter tear radius with 2.5 second cooldown, 2-second cooldown, I might even be a Legion main. I think he's super fun to play. I think he can be very powerful. versus fairly average teams. I think he's pretty versatile. You can run a shitload of builds on him. You know that as well. I think his add-ons are fairly strong, but I don't like using add-ons. But it's just not enough, man. It's just not enough in my opinion. I think that every other killer just has way more, to offer, and the other killers just have way more to offer, and they give the survivors way less control. Legion, out of all the killers that I mentioned, out of all 11 that I mentioned, and maybe even more so than any other kill in the game, not only does it give survivors, whatever option, or not, maybe that's not what I should say, because it kind of doesn't allow survivors to heal, but it's almost like backfiring, because you want survivors to heal. That's why Chorophobia isn't a good perk, because good survivors, it's not a good perk versus good survivors, because if good survivors see that it's taking too long to heal, they just won't. That's why Dying Light isn't really that good with Sloppy. That's why Chorophobia isn't that good, or isn't good versus good players, just like Dying Light and Sloppy. Combo isn't good versus good players, because with the exception of stealth killers, because they force the heal, but yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like I've gone on long enough. I'm happy I got this done though. But yeah, I highly doubt that anyone watched this whole thing, both parts, but if you did, I appreciate you. And even if you didn't and you skipped to the end, just let me know what you think, you know what I mean? Let me know what you think. But yeah, that's just my opinion, or all this was just my opinion, but I hope I explain myself in a pretty good way, and hopefully I stayed pretty unbiased and logical. So yeah, this is just my opinion. Appreciate y'all watching, and then I'll see y'all next time. Appreciate it, man.